according to your post.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're just gonna get started. Kayla, do you want to start?
Sure. There you go. So for the last 48 hours, I did have something to show, but my laptop's dying, so Illustrator wasn't opening. But I've just been working super loosely on like some button designs just for fun. I work in a computer lab on campus. And while I'm in there, I do like random design work for my boss and whatnot. And he's just been having me design some buttons. So I've been working on that. And then other stuff that I can't show because it's like contracts. But I am a project manager for the illustration book that I was describing on Monday. And so I kind of wrote up, not quite a contract, but like we all mutually agreed on this thing, and I had like typed up the deadlines and all this stuff, which I feel like doesn't really sound like it belongs in an art check, but it's towards a project.
Yeah.
And then I finished up another contract to contract myself to be project manager. So all the contracts. So
Nice.
that's about it, I think. Just all over. But what about you?
Yeah. So I have been working on getting our podcast set up. So I've been working on getting a subdomain and like getting the website ready to host it. And then, yeah, just the same thing I was working on before of like updating my website, getting some. I realized there's a funky link on my website where like if you go to the graphic design and you click on it, it sends you to one page. But what I really want it to do is have a drop down and like you can go to specific projects or you can go to case studies.
Okay.
And so right now, if you click on it, it sends you to an old page. So I need to fix that. Yeah.
I do not know how to fix that. Otherwise, I would help. I'm sorry.
I know how to fix it. I just haven't.
Okay. I was like, I have no. I took the class. Doesn't mean I know.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I'm building a secret website with code, so it's like not public yet.
Ooh.
So the thing that I need to fix is just with basic WordPress. So I just need to go in and fix it. Yeah. All right.
Fair.
Challenges.
Honestly, these past 2 days have been pretty like uneventful, which is a super good thing. I've never been project manager before. And like that's not really a bad challenge or anything, because like I kind of was like, yeah, if nobody else wants to do it, I totally will, because I want that experience.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of like having to be the one on top of it, and like this is how we're handling stuff and everything. It's kind of been a challenge. And then just the weather up here. Snowed today.
Yep.
Which I feel like doesn't sound like a challenge, but it made me not want to go to campus.
Yep.
And like less sunshine like affects your mental health, and so like I'm mentally preparing myself for that.
Yep.
But yeah, it made me not want to go to campus. I still went there like 3 times because I only live like a 2-minute walk. But
yeah.
And I had to go for my job and for other reasons, but I did not just go up there to work on anything. I stayed at home and I've watched TV and hung out in my my thermal stuff. Okay, what about you?
Yeah, actually, I feel like I'm low-key cursing myself by saying this, but the past 2 days haven't been very challenging. So I've just been, I think the thing that's going to challenge me the most is website stuff is not that fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm working on a design project, I can spend all day on it because it's exactly what I love to do. But website stuff isn't fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I like decided I was going to teach myself how to embroider, and like I want to do all these crafty things instead of working on my website. So I think that's the biggest challenge that I had and am going to have is I want to do fun things. So
Yeah. That's legitimate.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was thinking about like just really quick kind of like side note, but you and I were talking about this the other day and we were like 48-hour art check helps with our mental health. But whenever we're like sad, we don't think that it does.
Yeah.
And so like I've just kind of noticed like Monday like was really good because it was like back on track. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if you
heard
heard
a
that.
little bit of it, but your face is what made me laugh. Your
It
reaction
sounded like literally just everything fell in the kitchen and everybody screamed. So
I heard the screaming. I didn't hear the falling.
Great, my face for that is on YouTube forever. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was terrifying. But basically, what was I saying? Oh, it helps a lot, and so like I think that's partially also why like for me at least the past 2 days have been like a little bit less challenging because it's like like doing art check again, and, like hanging out with Kaitlin, and like it's nice because we're friends, and so it's just like you know what I mean. It's just a good thing.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until you said it, but yeah, like we're back doing it again, and things have been good again. So
yeah. It's super helpful, which is super nice.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
Yep. Next 48.
Next 48. Probably gonna work on some more buttons. I've been like kind of helping teach people Adobe Illustrator. So I'll probably, if people come into the lab tomorrow, I will probably be helping with that. And just I have a meeting for the book project on Friday. I think I can say this. I'm like helping so I'm in the social media practicum and I'm helping the professors come up with a brand name for the social media brand, and it's me and 3 other people. We have a meeting on Friday for that.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bunch of stuff. Like I'm just trying to be a jack of all trades right now and figure out what I want. And so I mean the meetings are for sure in the next 48. And I didn't get any of the website stuff done that I was hoping to. But maybe by Friday I'll have that. That's the hope. Nice. So, what about you?
I am going to continue working on the podcast. We're going to come up with a name for it that's other than 48-hour art check.
There is already a podcast out there called 48-hour art check.
Yep.
And so we can't do it.
Yep. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so we're gonna name it. I'm gonna try. I'll either try and find a free design program so that I can design like a header image for the website, or I'll just, tell you what I'm thinking and have you design it.
I was about to say, send me some sketches.
Yep. That might be what it comes down to.
Send like legit sketches, like colored in.
Yeah.
And I'll just plug it in and do it.
I think Google has a very basic. They have the equivalent of Microsoft Paint.
Also Canva. You can personalize stuff in Canva a lot more than you would think.
That's true. I might mess with Canva to make the sketch to send you because I refuse to use Canva. So
I was literally, as I was saying it, I was like, we both refuse to use Canva, but I'm saying it right now.
Yeah. I'll use it as the jumping off point. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll ask people and see if there's something free that people know of. But I mean, our school uses Adobe.
Is that okay? The app on the iPad, that Sketch app, is that free?
Autodesk, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I might do that.
Autodesk Sketchbook.
We have it's technically my mom's iPad, but it's just chilling. So I might just steal it.
It popped back up. Yeah, and then Emily Gunnell, I know we've mentioned her before. Check out her work. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But she uses, I want to say Procreate.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. Yeah, Procreate app.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was curious. That was going to bug me the whole episode. But yeah, it's called Procreate.
Okay.
She uses it and loves it. So
cool. I might check that out.
Yes, but I think that one you have to buy. But I think it's like a one-time purchase.
Okay. All right. I can handle that.
Sweet.
Sweet. All right. So our topic tonight is freelance practices. We were talking about literally like right before we got on, we were talking about why we wanted to do this topic so much. And it's because both of us have had experiences freelancing, and neither of us did contracts on those experiences. And like this, it's as much for us as it is for you guys. I can't talk today. This is going to be a struggle. But it's
all right.
For ourselves of what we need to be doing when we freelance. And so we figured we would talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to start trying really hard to freelance. So yeah.
Yeah. I was telling Kaitlin, I was like, this will be cool to do now because like we're sitting here like, okay, we've know the mistakes that we've made, but here's like our plan and what we should be doing. And then if we do one later, because I mean, we don't intend to end this anytime soon. So if we do one later, talking about freelance practices once we have contracted freelance work and actually done it the right way. Yeah, because right now we're just like kind of discussing it and bouncing ideas off of each other, and just anybody in the comments that has anything, just gonna talk about it and see kind of where each other's heads are at. Because I am afraid of freelance work personally, like not in like a bad way. That sounds weird, but like I don't ever know what to charge, or like the whole like straight up freelance part of it makes me nervous. But yeah. I'm looking at being contracted starting in the next few months. And so I don't really know how any of that works, and so I feel like this discussion will be nice for me. Yeah. But there's a lot of different ways that we can go. What way do you want to go first? This is your topic.
I don't know. Where do you want to start first?
I don't know. I think a good thing about freelance practices is getting your brand out there.
Yes.
Because I was talking to Professor Rognan today, and we actually got on this topic because it's a good way to make money. And he was saying that he had done some, and then he had so much in his portfolio because of it that's what helped him get a job. And so, but I don't remember if he was telling me about himself or somebody else, or if it was even him. But basically like emailing people and being like, hey, do you want this work? Do you want this work? Do you want somebody to do this? Like, not badgering them so much, but like getting yourself out there. And then I also think with social media, we have the opportunity to get ourselves out there more than we would. And I'm not going to get on this too much, but Corey Kerr actually has, I think, a video on this. But the algorithms of social media are super screwed up. And so it is hard to get yourself out there using social media, but I think that it's a good thing for your freelance, because people will see you and see your work and say, hey, I want that. And that's kind of what's happening with me right now with the possibility of being contracted is like I'm posting my stuff and people are seeing it. And so I think it's just like a really beneficial thing to get your brand out there. I don't know if I'm talking in circles, so you can chime in.
No, I definitely agree. And I think that not only is freelance a good way to get yourself out there, but like it's necessary to freelance. Like it's this big circle of if you aren't utilizing social media correctly, it's a lot harder to get clients, I think. Because I think as far as when you're first starting out, you don't really get random people. You get hired by people you know.
Which is, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyways.
No, you're good.
Minor thing.
I think, so going off of that, I think that when you do end up working for people you know, it's important to establish the boundary of treating them like an actual client. And I think the best way to do that is to have them have a contract with you, just like you should have with all your other clients.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's my attempt at a segue into talking about contracts and what should be in contracts.
Yeah, see, that's mainly going to be you. Just, I don't know, like I have been like setting up contracts for other people as a project manager and whatnot. But just really quick, I said I hate working for people, but what I meant is I hate having people that I know as clients. I actually really like working for people that I know in the art community.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Like, because you can go to them and like get advice and like you're not technically like super contracted or any like anyways, I don't like working for family and friends.
Yeah.
As them strictly being my client. But if I'm being hired on to do a job for an art person, that's like different.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Anyways, for contracts, I don't know. I've been told that you do it by hour. I've been told like you can do it by hour, you can do it by project. I've had the intention of actually writing up a contract. And I think the way that I'm thinking about it is like you get this many sketches, then you choose two. I'll do one draft of each, then you like a really like basic draft, then you choose one, you get like 2 revisions, and then that's it. If you want more revisions, you can pay for it. If you want more sketches, you can pay for it, but like just kind of like that, because I feel like hourly for me isn't super fair because I have trouble letting go of a project.
Yeah. So I think it varies by project, like depending on what you're like. If I'm working on a sticker for someone, I'll do that one hourly because like the issue that I see with doing it hourly is it's really hard to tell the client up front, okay, this is how much you're going to be paying for it. Because I think that, you know, like it's hard to know when you're starting a project how long it's going to take you.
Yes.
So you don't want to get to the position of, well, I've already told them that they're going to pay this much, so I'm running out of time to work on, like, you don't want to trap yourself. And I also think that depending on the project, like, they're worth more. Like, we haven't talked about, but I've heard several times that logos cost like $700 to $1,000 because
that's what I was thinking.
And like how often they are and how many different ways that they're shared. And so only charging hourly for a logo really isn't fair to the designer because their work is going to be shown a lot more than if you were designing a sticker for one person.
Yeah. somebody had posted that they were looking for somebody to do a logo, and I commented back and I showed my work and I said, this is all the stuff that I've done. And they said, okay, how much? And I looked it up and it's like on average 700 to 1,000. And I was like, okay, it's my first time ever doing a logo. And I don't kind of want to seem like a huge show off or anything, but I'm also not going to do it for $50. So I asked for 500, which is 200 off the low end.
Yeah.
And I never heard back. And I was like, okay.
Was this like right after the semester ended?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I responded to the same post and got the same reaction.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. It's one of those things where like I sat there arguing with myself about it. Like, okay, how much? I think I asked for 500 because that sounds like something I would have done.
Yeah.
Because I was just gonna do 100, and people around me were like, "No, you should not just do 100. Yeah, that's dumb." Yeah.
And like the thing that I was thinking when I quoted her, because I quoted her that same range, and I said like, depending on the company size and what exactly you're expecting and where the logos are going to be used, like this is the range that you're looking at. Because like I didn't really get a ton of detail about it.
Yeah, I didn't either. Because I said how minimalistic, all this stuff, and I said they didn't respond, and I said, okay, well, just from hearing it, I'm going to say 500.
Yeah.
And if you tell me more information, the price will change. But I never heard back.
Yeah. So I think I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I think that what happened is somebody hopped in and said, I'll do it for $50.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I remembered. It was my reasoning for why I chose to not do that, or to not charge really cheap for it. And it was because, like, I am now a college graduate. Like, I have been designing for, like, 4 or 5 years. Like, I have enough amount of skill under my belt that I think I can start charging the low-end prices of the average for logos and stuff. I don't think that I need to be like charging $50 for a logo anymore, because I am beyond that. And that sounds really like uppity and like, oh, I'm so great.
It doesn't.
Yeah, but like, you know, it's just I am trying to value the knowledge that I have more than that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And what I'm going to say might sound a little bit more uppity than yours, but like I've only been at this for over a year, not even close to 2, but I'd say closest to like a year and a quarter, year and a half. And I am not charging like the 700 range yet. But for me, 500 was like, I honestly think I could charge like 600, 650. But I did 500 because my thought process was like, okay, I am not that far along in school, but other people that are as far along as I am probably are charging like cheap. But I also have devoted my time to going the extra mile when it comes to all of this stuff. And like thoroughly doing everything that I can. And so that's why I did 500, and not hearing back was kind of like, I wish that they had just at least said no.
Yeah.
Instead of just like no response. Because now it's like, okay, is it because of my work? Is it because of my price? Is it because of this? Was I not professional enough in the interaction? Like all this stuff. And I do think that it was the price.
I think so too. In that instance, I don't want to get too into it, but
Sorry, yeah.
No, I was just gonna, like, I know the girl. Like,
I do too.
That was asking. And so I think that part of it was she didn't know how much it was. Like, I don't think she knew the price of a logo.
Yeah.
So I think people coming back and saying it's going to be this much was a surprise.
Yeah, we're talking about the same one, but like,
yeah,
I did so much research about it too. And I think just taking it kind of back to the topic, and I mean, we're still on the topic, but more of a generalization. My fear with asking for the 500 was, am I asking too much? Am I saying that my work is this much? I have some experience working for clients, and hopefully soon I'll be able to say that I have a lot more experience working for clients. But as far as like somebody reaching out and me just saying, oh, 500, like my fear was like, is that going to contract myself for too much money? Am I overpricing myself, overvaluing myself? Which is interesting because like I've had people around me be like, you need to put more like value into your work. And I've said that to you too. But like I feel like graphic designers are always like kind of down on their work. Not always. I feel like I know people that have grown out of it. Or not necessarily grown out of it, but like gotten over it.
Yeah.
Grown out of it wasn't the right word, because I know people that are my age that have gotten over it.
Yeah.
But that have gotten over it, but like it's still terrifying when you're first starting out to say a price.
Yeah.
Like put it on a contract, put it on a piece of paper, this is my price.
Yeah.
And then what happens when later you want to raise it? And so you raise it on your contract, and then people are like, wait a second. Whoa, you did it for this person for 500, now you're asking 700. What is going on?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's the part I'm always nervous about, is the changing of the price range, because like I'm not gonna work at the low end of the price. Oh, okay. As I'm saying this, an idea just popped into my head of we could just raise it yearly.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was last year. This is the new year. I have different skills now, like more work under my belt. Because I had a friend, this is kind of not the same thing, but kind of the same thing. She did massage therapy, but she didn't like work for an actual massage house, a spa.
Okay.
I don't know.
There you go.
Yep, a spa. That's the word for it.
A massage house.
Hey, I got there.
I think that's what they're called now, from now on. From this day forth.
She like had her own table and would go to people's houses and like give them massages at their house. So she was kind of like a freelance massage therapist, but she basically like made like she raised hers yearly. So like she was out of school for a year and kept them at that rate, and then bumped it up and kept it at that rate. And so I think that might be a good way to go. Maybe,
yeah.
Yeah.
That also makes me nervous though. Like this is becoming a conversation on pricing, and I will bring it back to contracts because I'm the one that made it pricing, and I am so sorry.
Well, pricing is part of contracts. Like you need to spell out how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, but I will bring it back to contracts after I say this. I think that my fear with doing the yearly thing is, in the past 6 months, how much I have progressed in my skill level, that like, I could be charging a good amount now for my animation. And so in 12 months, how much am I going to improve?
Yeah.
To the point where like I'm doing top quality work for too low of a price, because at the beginning of the year I wasn't good at it, but now that it's June, I have 6 months and I've like grown a bunch. My quality of the work is nowhere near the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just like maybe every 6 months or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That would be my solution to that, I would say.
Yeah. Do you want to bring it back to contracts though?
Sure.
You can bring up like some more.
Well, I'm flipping through right now. Okay. Sorry. So.
No, you're good.
I was wondering, I'm flipping through this book. This is the book that we're pulling 90% of our information from. It's the Pricing and Ethical Guidelines. It's the Graphic Artist Handbook.
Guild. The Graphic Artist Guild. Edition 15.
Yes. I had a teacher suggest that I get it last year. It was actually it was Professor Rognan's social media class.
Really?
And one girl asked, like, how do you know how much to charge people? Because she was starting her own photography business. And he pulled up this book in class and said, if you are going to freelance, you need this book. And I will just repeat that because I totally 100% agree. If you are going to freelance, you need this book. Because the biggest thing that I like about it is it's got pricings in it. So, like, the one I'm looking at right now is if you are doing and again, this is just like depending on where it's going to be used and stuff, but like this is saying a simple to moderately complex infographic you should be charging $2,000 to $750. Well, $2,000 to $7,500.
What page are you on?
That's 268. This is
okay. I'm on 61.
This is technical illustration, which is like for machinery and instruments and yeah.
Yes, and then I'm also going to say my pitch for this book.
Illustration, which is what you're working on right now.
Yes. Say what? I'm working on 3D what?
This is architectural.
This book was recommended to me by Corey Kerr, who I'm pretty sure, like most of the people that are subscribed to us, have come from his channel. This book is a lifesaver, and I don't read books, which I don't like admitting because I really like reading, but I haven't read one in like 2 years. But I flip through this a lot. Like, I'm not going to read it cover to cover. But like when I have a question about pricing or anything, I typically pull this up.
Yes.
And there's pricing charts, and this one is literally like there's 4 pages dedicated to lettering and typeface design and how to charge for that.
Yes. I was looking in the wrong illustration section, by the way.
You said you were looking at 3D?
I was looking, it was architectural for some reason. Oh, there it is. That's what I wanted.
That's not what I'm doing.
No.
3D illustration sounds fun. It's also really hard. I'm trying.
Okay. No,
Comparative piece for natural science illustration. Okay, this is going to be really boring because we're now just flipping through this book.
I know.
So if you go to page 61, this is kind of going to be about pricing, but this is still on the thought process of contracts, because honestly, contracts are mainly about pricing. You see it now.
Yeah.
So contracts. Contracts. The reason that we're talking about pricing so much is because there are general freelance practices, and I feel like this topic might go a little bit over an hour because of how much there are. But on page 61, it's all about cancellation and rejection fees, also known as kill fees. And I wanted to bring this up because when you are writing a contract, you need to do this because
important.
I should have done this for a lot of things. And it's like, once you're promised money, also there's this whole thing about getting half of it up front, like 50 now, 50 later.
Mm-hmm.
But the cancellation provision is essentially like, hey, if I start on this project for you, you contract that we're going to do it, and then you say never mind. I'm like, if it were me, I'd be like, I'm keeping like the 50% from up front. Yeah. And then you're paying me more money to cancel it. Like, obviously you're not going to pay me full thing, but it's, if I'm doing a logo for you and you give me $350 up front, you're going to give me another 50 to 100 for canceling it. Like,
well, and just looking through this one, it's talking about if it's canceled before you've even finished like the sketch phase or the concept phase.
Mm-hmm.
It says that most commonly those cancellation fees, like before you're even done sketching, if they cancel, they owe you between 25 and 50% of the original fee. And then if they've canceled after that time, but before you've finished, it's between 30 and 75%. Yeah. And then if they've canceled after you've finished everything, they owe you 100 to 150%.
Yep.
And I think that's huge. They also have a rejection provision so that like you still get paid even if they decide not to use your work. Mm-hmm. And I mean, hopefully you won't ever need that. But I think the biggest part of having a contract when you're freelancing is to protect yourself, but also to like protect the client so that like they make sure that they are set up to go, that they get what they need at the end of it. But also that like if they, the one that Professor Kerr and Professor Rognan and I talked about was part of the cancellation, part of the kill fee, is including a clause in that talking about how if they stop contacting you, like if you do not hear from them within 30 days about the project, then you can effectively kill that project and charge them the regular cancellation fee. Because several times I've been working with people and I'll just stop hearing from them completely. Mm-hmm. And I think it was technically for my senior project, but I like talked with my contact initially and we like got the basic idea rolling. I started doing sketches, started working on what we had talked about. And I like reached out to them once or twice a week for a month and didn't hear anything back. And then finally I got a response back and they were like handing me over to another person that didn't know anything about the project. And it was like starting over again from ground zero. But if I had had that, if it wasn't my senior project, number one, if I didn't have to still follow through with it, I would have been able to cancel. And I think that would have, like, I really appreciate that because it's really frustrating to not hear back. And I think that there's also a big, like, if you send an email saying, hey, I haven't heard from you in 25 days. If I don't hear from you in the next 5, the project is going to be considered canceled and you're going to owe this much money. I think that's a huge way to like snap people back into it of like, oh, we signed a contract. Like, this is a real thing.
Yeah. And while we were talking about this, I'm in this class called Media Business Ownership, and I've only been in it for 3 weeks, but just some stuff that you were talking about came back to me. And one of them I'll hit later because it's like a different kind of subtopic, but one that I'm actually learning from being a project manager is you need to set expectations.
Yes.
And like for this project that I am managing right now, like the expectations are down to the minute. You have until this time on this day to respond and notify everybody of what you're doing. Otherwise, everybody like has the right to come find you and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And like that's a bit different when it's like a client, but like I am thinking in mind kind of, if I haven't heard from you in 48 hours, I'm going to send another email. And if I haven't heard from you in 48 hours after that, I'm going to call you. And like I kind of just want to put that down and be like unless you message me and you're like, hey, you're not going to hear from me for a week, or while we're going through the contract you say that's not possible, how about every week, if you haven't heard from me in a week, whatever. But in contracts I feel like you need to set up communication expectations, but then also expectations of your artwork.
Yeah.
Because Professor Kerr and Joshua Kemble did a art check, and it was like last week or something, and it wasn't about this particularly, but I think it was about like integrity or following through or something. And they kind of went over like you need to set up your expectations, people's expectations of you correctly, because you can say I'm a professional. What does that mean? Because for some people that means that you are high up and can get all of this work done, but even then it's still graphic design, it's still an illustration, it's still this or that. They don't know what style. They have to do their research into you to know what that means. And so whenever you meet down with somebody for that contract, being like, this is the type of work that I traditionally do.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is what you're looking for, I'm the best person for it. If you're looking for something else, you need to tell me now, so this way I know how much I'm getting myself into and if I want to take it.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
I think the biggest, I like didn't even think about it in terms of, okay, so back when I first was starting visual communications, I was waiting tables at a restaurant, and I had a guest, and I started talking about what I was doing, and she asked me to freelance a website. And I've done very simple websites using so I've done a couple websites for businesses using Shopify, which is kind of like WordPress, except they have a really great like behind the scenes stuff for the person that's selling. Like they have a great way to manage orders, and like it's just really easy to work with. So I've used it a couple times, and she was asking me to design her a website. And basically after talking with her, I found out that like what she was asking for was kind of out of my skill range. And I think, so I told her it was out of my skill range, and she kind of got upset with me. And it's like, well, I would rather tell you it's out of my skill range instead of take on this project and then like disappoint.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, in
no,
my
it
head,
makes sense.
into the topic.
No, it does. It does. Because my biggest hesitation is to straight up tell people I'm an animator or I can animate.
Yeah.
And it is such a drawback for me, because drawback might not be the right word, but I hold it kind of back until like I know what you're looking for. Because saying that I work on animation and that I can't animate means a bajillion different things.
Yeah.
I've never done a walk cycle before. I've never had to work in 3D. I was working on, I get so confused in 3D space. So confused. Like, you want me to animate, okay, but I don't straight up tell people, like, if you're contracting me for graphic design work. And if along down the road you see, oh, I've done this animation and you want me to do something like that, fine. But there, I feel like, and I'm a graphic designer, so this is like not to knock graphic design at all, but there's a difference between saying I'm a graphic designer and the expectations for that than I'm an animator and the expectations for that. Because being an animator, there's 2D, there's 2.5D, there's parallax, there's like the Disney style, there's 3D. I think I've already said 3D, but like there's walk cycles, there's what I did, which was like a mixture of expressions and video and motion tracking. And like I can do all of those things, but you asked me to do a walk cycle, I have no clue.
Yeah. And just to go along with that, like there are so many other programs that you can be expected to animate in besides After Effects too.
Exactly.
So it's really hard to like brand yourself a certain way. Which is kind of why I generally, like, as soon as someone, because I had someone recently approach me about, this is going to turn into, it's so important to have your portfolio and like your website up to date. Because I had someone recently contact me for work, and like I sent them to my website, and they actually were considering redesigning their website. So they weren't like fully asking me, but they were like kind of asking. Mm-hmm. And so I showed them my website that I had designed for myself, and then the couple websites I had done for other people. And like my website looks good, but the websites, I need to stop telling people to go look at the websites I've done for other people, because that was like 7 years ago. And not that the websites look bad, but they're like not indicative of what I can do. But like, it's just a good example of, I don't code websites 100% by myself. I use WordPress and Shopify. And so when they can go look at my work, they can see, okay, that's what she works in. And so it's like, it's so important to have, like, if we're talking about animation, it's important to have your work shown, but then also to talk about, this is how I did it in this program, so that people who are searching for a specific type of animation can know if you're what they're looking for.
Yeah. Because, and I totally agree, because not all graphic design is done in Adobe Illustrator.
Yeah.
But a lot of the graphic design programs, in my opinion, and I don't have much experience, and if I'm wrong, please tell me. But in my opinion, and from what I've seen, you can do pretty close to the same thing so long as you know to use the program correctly.
Yeah.
For graphic design.
Yeah.
But with all the different animation programs, you're limited to what that one can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you know how to animate on a VR headset, and what is it called? Tavori. Tavori is an animation program in the Oculus. But if you know how to animate in Tavori, okay, I need somebody to animate in After Effects. If you don't know how to do that, you're gonna have no clue how to use After Effects.
Yeah.
But I can do After Effects. I'm trying to learn Tavori. I would not even come close to saying I can animate in Tavori. And so if somebody approached me and was like, hey, I need 3D. Nope, not me.
Yeah.
But, and it comes down to like labels. So when you are working on your freelance and you're trying to label yourself, make sure that you're labeling yourself correctly to set up other people's expectations of you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like kind of tying it back to the topic. And that's because also I first starting out, I was like, okay, I'm a wedding invite designer and photographer. And like I still do that, but I also design invites now, and I'm like, okay, I would much rather be doing something else. I have a lot more skill set now.
Yeah.
And I would much rather be a graphic designer doing stickers and logos and everything else, and still doing invites. They're like not hard for me to do anymore, and so I don't mind doing them because I still get money.
Yeah.
But I'm not just gonna say, oh, I'm an invite designer. So I'm a graphic I'm a graphic design designer is literally what I almost said. I'm a graphic designer. Or, you know, I'm an animator, but this is what I can do.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like, or I'm a professional. What does professional mean? That's not enough. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Which is interesting because I literally listened to Joshua Kimball and Corey Kerr talk about this. And like I listened to it and I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna remember some of this, but like as I'm talking about it, I'm like, okay, this is what they meant as I'm talking it through.
Yeah.
But I think that is super important in freelance. I think that's important in your contracting and in your branding. Like that's kind of one of the most important things is like, what's your title?
Yeah.
And then also realizing that if you are doing freelance work and you are making money, that makes it a business. And that means taxes and
yes.
other things. Because otherwise it's tax evasion.
Yeah.
And that's not good. So, and I don't know enough about that. I'm learning about that this semester. So I'm excited. But like realizing that if you are a freelancer, there is, you know, contracts and government stuff. And
yeah,
if you are a business, then you need to act like it and do taxes and your salary and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And like I have not hit that point yet. Like when I say I've done freelance, I mean like somebody has asked me to, like somebody that I know has asked me to design something.
Yeah, like I'm not at all at the level of being a freelance designer. No, yeah, I am like kicking myself because I literally, so I decided to like ease off on Facebook a little bit, but all that's done is made me spend more time on Pinterest, which has been fun. But I literally just saw something on Pinterest today about like deadlines that a freelance designer should keep to like because I've been thinking about this, the angle of like having contracts and like setting deadlines, but yeah, I didn't even think about the money part of it. But it was talking about how monthly you need to be setting aside money for like taxes and like cutting yourself a salary and like staying on top of sending out invoices you should be doing like weekly. And I think that is the hardest part, in my opinion, about freelancing, is staying on top of that part of it.
Yeah, because like I don't know too much about it, but I know that like once you make a certain amount of money doing it, you are a business.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what that money range is. I am not the expertise on this, but I just brought it up because I'm learning about it. But if you want to declare yourself a business and you are contracted to do that kind of stuff and you're making enough money that you would qualify as a business, you have to be paying taxes.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Whereas, and I don't know about this, but I assume like if you do one logo a year, like you're not a business.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm going to get, taken down for tax evasion, but I've never done that. So
come back to get this book.
That is true.
It probably has the answer in there of this is when you make this much money, you need to start paying taxes. Probably has a section in there.
I will be right. I'm still listening, but I'm grabbing a book off my bookshelf because I want to show this other book too. Because I think everybody should buy this book.
Yes. The biggest thing for me was when so I was talking to Kayla about this earlier, but I was working on a project and they asked me to hand the files over before I felt like I was done with the project. And it felt like they were going to take my files and give it to someone else to work on. And that's not okay. I think somewhere in here, it talks about having a provision in your contract of who's able to edit your work. And I think that's another thing that you definitely should put in the contract. That like people are only allowed to edit your work after this time, like after you determine the project's complete or yeah. But 100% get this book. And then Kayla's got another book.
But really quick, I want to make a comment on that. I have handed over my Illustrator files once. I have done 3 invite designs, and then a sticker design. And I think that I can say those are the only 4 things that I've been technically I had a job for. I have handed over my file once, and when I handed it over, I literally you could edit it very minimalistically. I got rid of everything that could be edited from it because it was the gear sticker with like shapes cut out of it and stuff. Like you couldn't move the shape of the heart easily.
Yeah.
It was cut out of that gear. You couldn't move this or that easily. Like that, what I showed on Monday was what they got. And like if they wanted more done, they could tell me, but that's what I gave because I didn't want my project to be messed with.
Yeah. When this happened, I talked to Professor Kerr about it, and he did say that like it is normal practice to hand over your files when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's necessary to define when the project is done because I didn't feel like it was done. Like I had sent it to them and said, like, let me know your critiques, let me know what I can change, and all they said was give me the files. And so that is why I was hesitant, but it is standard practice to hand over your files. But I think you can like add into your contract that you're the only one that can make edits to it, or yeah, I think it just depends. But
Yeah,
like when you're doing freelance for a company and they're gonna have the logo forever, then I think it's okay to hand it along. But you can add in that provision of only I can make edits.
Yeah. And I didn't do it that way. Like I was handing it over to somebody that worked for Professor Kerr.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like going to go up the ladder to him, and I actually copied him on the email with the attachment. But it wasn't even like I was trying to be rude or anything, but it was like, I showed it to your boss. Your boss said it was good. Here's the file.
Yeah.
Like kind of thing. It wasn't like going over anybody's head or anything like that. It may sound weird, but I see Professor Kerr a lot because he's like a mentor to me. And so it was just, he asked me to do it. I did it, and I handed over that file. But handing over the file made me extremely uncomfortable.
I don't know if that's a feeling I will get used to, but
yeah, I don't know. I was more okay with it because I knew who it was going to.
Yeah.
And I knew that like if he edited it, it was only going to get better. You know, like
yeah.
It's like it wasn't going to get worse because I know him and he designs 10 times better than I do. And so it was like, yeah, here's my file. Like, here you go. I still don't like handing it over, but I'm not going to do much. Anyways, this book is called The Business Model Generation. If you want to set up your freelance business, this or just any business in general, like the process of it, like this is talking about the strategy behind starting a business and all this stuff, and it's not necessarily for freelance, but it literally like the design of your business. What's the design of your business? It's a textbook that I had to get for class. Shout out to Professor Mollum, because this textbook is actually something that I'm happy I bought.
Some textbooks I will keep for the rest of my life, like the HTML and CSS textbook. It's beautiful, and I will keep it forever.
I'm gonna buy that. I rented it, and I was gonna buy it, but I didn't have the money. But it's called The Business Model Generation. And it is such a good book, and it is $15 on Amazon. Maybe like $15 to $20 on Amazon. If you have $15 to $20, you should go buy this right now, because
text me the name of the book so I don't forget.
Yes, I will send you a link because it's in my syllabus. But
there we go.
Seriously, this book, it's literally, you're holding a handbook for visionaries, game changers, and challengers striving to defy outmoded business models and design tomorrow's enterprises.
Ooh.
Like that's this. And like it's kind of like the graphic artist guild book, where it's like you read it when you want to know more about a business or anything like that, but seriously, I will never get rid of this book. So if you're curious about how to run a business, this book is a great help. This is just becoming a book promotion, but
I know, I was just about to say, like, and we're about to do closing thoughts, and like that's the biggest takeaway I think from this episode is go buy a book so that you know what you're doing. Because I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and every time now, from now until I am done freelancing, which probably won't be ever, I'm going to be consulting this book on what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
Also, along with this, I wanted to do it while I was a student, but I couldn't afford it then either. The Graphic Artists Guild is an actual guild that you can join. It's like you pay money to join it, but the biggest thing that they've got like seminars every year basically that you can go to, and they have like special forums that you can get advice on. And then I think I read somewhere in this book that if you are a member and you run into some sort of trouble with contracts, you can like consult them for help. So also go join the Graphic Artists Guild.
Maybe
they'll give me a free membership for promoting.
Listen, you told me that, and if I had not just realized that I was broke, I would probably be going and joining right now.
It's so much cheaper when you're a student. There's literally, in the last page of the book is a membership application. Yeah.
Look, one free webinar and 10% off guild membership.
Yeah.
Buy this book.
Yeah.
Don't use our codes.
So a student is $75 a year annually. And then a professional. Oh, so a student is a non-voting membership. So you can't vote in like their elections that they have for leadership.
Okay.
A professional membership is $20 a month or $200 a year.
The 200 is cheaper.
It is. But I don't.
Anyways.
Yeah, we
will talk about this off the air. We just need to hit the end broadcast button. My closing thoughts are that this topic is so open-ended, and there's a lot that goes into it, and we've discussed a lot. But branding yourself the correct way, I feel like, is super important.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if there's one thing that you took away from this, is, in my opinion, the most important is the branding yourself of it, because the branding yourself lines up the pricing, lines up the expectations, lines up everything. Even the way that you get out there on social media and emails and all this stuff. Making sure that you're branding yourself correctly, and by branding yourself, I mean giving yourself the correct title. And being honest to what you are. I am not it depends on what you define a professional as, but if you see a professional as somebody that is like Corey Kerr, I'm not a professional, and I'm not going to tell you that I am, because he's on a way different level than I am. But if you're talking about for a college student, I'm probably kind of a professional in like those 4 years of fluctuation between when people start and whatnot. It's just a super general term, so try to define yourself better than that. And doing that helps the most, in my opinion. I think that's like the biggest takeaway that you should take from this. And go buy the books. And and tell them that we referred you to buying them.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll like send us when the 16th edition comes out.
Probably not.
Probably not. It's wishful thinking.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyways,
all right.
What about you?
No, I agree. Just buy the book. If you have questions, set out contracts so that you and your client have proper expectations of how the process is going to go. Yep. All right. Thanks, guys. And broadcast. Yay. Bye.
Bye.
Maybe. Oh my